Did you hear it? You heard the boom. It's coming down right now. It's coming down. Yeah, we just saw. I saw the missile come out of the. I saw the missile come out of the. It's, here we go. Boom! Woo!
Who do y'all think is running the country? Because after 6 weeks into this year, I'm convinced that the individuals who we voted for to actually run the show aren't the ones doing it. It's more like the bureaucracy and big tech. And we can take the story that happened with the Chinese weather balloon that flew across the whole nation, and former Vice President Joe Biden had to ask his DOD if they should shoot it down. And they was like, nah, we shouldn't shoot it down because, you know, debris and stuff over American citizens. Even though American citizens was like, hey, we should probably shoot this enemy aircraft down. And after they finally shot it down, when it took great snapshots of the country, including our nuclear systems and our defenses, they came out and said that this happened with Donald Trump 3 times.
You also briefed on that there was apparently 2 or 3 incidents in the previous administration as well.
Well, that's what they're saying now, but I think that the administration needs to come forward, because this is not an ability to say that this is a crisis that was handed to them. This is a crisis that has developed as a result of this president during his administration, allowing China to do a similar act before, not responding, and then clearly in this one not seeing the urgency of what was unfolding. I mean, the president allowed this to go across our most sensitive sites and wasn't even going to tell the American public. If you hadn't broken this story, the American public would not have even known. There was no attempt to notify Congress, no attempt to put together the Gang of 8. I think this administration lacks urgency.
Now, if this did happen under Donald Trump and you didn't tell him, that kind of sounds like treason. But if it didn't happen, it sounds like you're lying to the American people, which is also a bad thing. And either way, y'all are terrible people. But after the shooting down of this enemy aircraft, they came out and said that this weather balloon was actually a little bit more serious than what we thought. And everybody's like, yeah, duh. But this is the same guy who came out and said, hey, China is not our adversary.
China is not an enemy. And I think that's important for people to clearly understand. China is a rising power. China has been a rising power since Deng Xiaoping in '79, and they've been clicking off at 10% growth for almost 30 years, and they dropped down to about 7% the last year or two, and they'll probably drop again, and come into the range of normalcy and 3 to 5% growth.
And then, the whole Twitter files thing that Elon Musk has been dropping, which is exposing Twitter for working with the United States government in order to censor individuals, especially people on the right. And now we're having hearings about this situation, and the Twitter execs are continuously lying or saying that they don't recall these situations. But Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, who I'm about to show you, is coming up with evidence and confronting these individuals head on.
Mr. Roth, while at Twitter, how many meetings did you have with the FBI?
I couldn't say for sure, but I would
More
say
than 10?
That's a
More than
reasonable
20?
estimate. I couldn't say for sure.
More than 50?
That seems a bit high.
Many meetings with the FBI. Well, we know how many FBI agents worked at Twitter while you were there?
I don't believe any active FBI
Former
agents.
FBI agents. How many worked there while you were there?
I'm aware of perhaps 2.
Well, we know of at least 9 because they started the BU group chat, BU for Bureau. Now, Mr. Roth, did the FBI ever ask you to share information like users' communication data without going through proper legal channels?
No, they did not, and I would have refused if they had.
That's correct. I see that you denied Agent Chan's request for access to Twitter's data feed. What's sick isn't that you would deny it. It's that the FBI would even ask you for the private data of American citizens without going through legal channels of the law. Now, I want to remind you, Mr. Roth, that you are under oath. Did the FBI ever ask you to do anything that was illegal or questionably legal?
I'm not a lawyer, but certainly not to the best of my recollection or knowledge.
Now, from the hearing that I've been a part of today. It's almost impossible to tell where the FBI ends and where Twitter begins. We have Mr. Baker here, a former FBI agent, and there seems to be a revolving door between the FBI and Twitter itself. Even Mr. Baker said that there was no collusion with the federal government and Twitter. But Mr. Baker, that's you. You are the collusion between the federal government and the FBI. And now with it, this is such a problem because we're seeing censorship all over. Mr. Roth, Ms. Gaddy, did either of you approve the shadow banning of my account at Lauren Boebert? Yes or no?
No, I did not.
Not to the best of my recollection.
Well, let me refresh your memory, because on March 12th, 2021, and Mr. Roth, I know you looked at it because Fascist Twitter 1.0 had a public interest exceptions policy, which means for members of Congress to be shadow banned, it had to go before you, Mr. Roth. So I'll ask again, did you shadow ban my account? Yes or no?
Again, not to the best of my recollection.
So the answer is, Mr. Roth, yes, you did. I found out last night from Twitter staff that you suppressed my account for this tweet. It's a freaking joke about Hillary Clinton being angry that she couldn't rig her election. It's a joke, but in response, being the sinister overlords that you all are, you placed a 90-day account filter so I could not be found. And now we see here that Twitter staff said the visibility filter on my account excluded me from top searches, prevented notifications for non-followers, and much more. This is considered an aggressive visibility filter. You silenced members of Congress from communicating with their constituents. You silenced me from communicating with the American people over a freaking joke. Now, who the hell do you think that you are? Election interference? Yeah.
And other congressmen are getting in on this action.
Begins with the story of how big tech, the media, former intelligence agents, and the Bidens themselves suppressed the story of Hunter Biden's laptop weeks before the 2020 election. Today, we're hearing from Twitter executives who buried the New York Post laptop story, claiming it violated the platform's hacked materials policy. In reality, the Twitter executives were hostile towards conservatives and biased towards anyone who opposed their points of view. For example, Mr. Roth, did you write this tweet?
I regret the language that I used in some of my former tweets, but yes, I did post that.
And I'll read the tweet so it's in the record. Yes, that person in the pink hat is clearly a bigger threat to your brand of feminism than actual Nazis in the White House. Mr. Roth, do you think all conservatives are Nazis?
Certainly not, sir.
What about the hundreds of people who worked in the Trump administration?
Certainly not.
Did Ms. Gaddy or any other lawyer at Twitter ever tell you to take down that tweet?
No, Twitter did not have a practice of restricting employees sharing their personal viewpoints on the service.
Turning back to the laptop, Ms. Gaddy, are you aware that Hunter Biden's lawyers, as recently as last week, wrote the Department of Justice about Hunter Biden's laptop?
I've seen some articles about that.
Yes, they did, and it appears that Hunter Biden's attorney is admitting that the laptop and emails on it are authentic. So, Ms. Gaddy, on October 14, 2020, did Hunter Biden report to Twitter that he was the victim of a hack?
No, I don't believe he did.
Ms. Gaddy, when the New York Post initially broke the story about the laptop, did you call Hunter Biden's lawyer to ask if it was authentic?
No, I did not.
Isn't it correct that the Biden campaign had contact with Twitter in the run-up to the 2020 election?
Not to my knowledge.
And you're telling this committee that you didn't ask any Biden representative if the laptop was real or for Hunter Biden's attorney's phone number to confirm its authenticity?
We did not speak to anybody related to that.
Mr. Baker, are you aware that the FBI had Hunter Biden's laptop since December of 2019?
I'm sorry, am I aware of that now?
Well, were you aware then?
Then, no, I don't believe, sir, that to the best of my recollection, I don't think I knew
But
that.
you're aware now?
I've heard that now, yes.
Mr. Baker, did you call any of your contacts at the FBI to ask whether or not they knew if the material had been hacked?
I don't recall contacting them about that on that day.
Mr. Roth, Ms. Gaddy, and Mr. Baker, it appears to me that you failed at your jobs. You were entrusted with the highest level of power at Twitter, but when you were faced with the New York Post story, instead of allowing people to judge the information for themselves, you rush to find a reason why the American people shouldn't see it. In a matter of hours, you were deciding on the truth of a story that spans years and dozens of complex international transactions. You did this because you were terrified of Joe Biden not winning the election in 2020. That's what it appeared. I can assure you this committee will succeed in holding the Bidens accountable. So much of the evidence of wrongdoing from this family is located in that hard drive that you all led the American people to believe was Russian disinformation.
There's a lot of dirty laundry that's getting aired out this year. And again, we're only a month and a half in this year, but it's still scary because no one will be punished for this. Like, I need to see somebody go to prison, especially if they're skewing what we see, the information that we get is kind of shaping the minds and it's kind of shaping and molding what history is. All I'm saying is somebody needs to go to jail. Somebody needs to be punished. But that's all I have for you today. I'm your host, TJ Evans, with another installment of the TJ Evans Show. Remember, do your own research. Don't take my word for gold. What do you think about this situation? Do you think that China is actually an adversary, even though that people are trying to tell us they're not? And do you think that we may be on the brink of World War III? And also, how do you feel about big tech controlling your lives and shaping what you see? Is the news really the truth? Y'all stay safe, stay prayed up. Y'all remember to check out the YouTube and Rumble page, Royal Family Studios. Go subscribe and go check out my book on Amazon, The Diary of Marvin DeWayne. Peace.